Ladies, listen to me. I need you to hear me with your heart right now because this is about to free you. Every man, you hear me? Every man wants you to detach. And I know what you're thinking. What you mean detach? I thought a man wants love, commitment, somebody that's down for him. And you're right, a real man does. But here's the twist. He wants you to detach from the things that keep you bound. See, when a man sees a woman who is whole, who has her own life, her own joy, her own confidence, he W, that woman is powerful. She's irresistible. That woman doesn't beg. She doesn't chase. She doesn't lower her standards for some half-baked effort. And that's what every man, whether he knows it or not, wants in a woman. But let me break it down even more. One, don't detach from needing validation. Stop waiting for a man to tell you you're beautiful before you believe it. Stop needing his text message before you have a good day. Your worth ain't tied to nobody's opinion but God's. And last I checked, he made you fearfully and wonderfully. To detach from toxic relationships. Some of y'all holding on to a man that don't even pray for you. He don't lead, he don't protect, he don't bring peace. So why are you still there? Because you're afraid of being alone? Baby, being alone and free is better than being attached and drained. 3, detach from the fairy tale. Now listen, I know we all grew up thinking love should look a certain way. But real love ain't always candlelight dinners and matching outfits on Instagram. Real love is consistency. It's effort. It's a man showing up for you even when it ain't convenient. So stop chasing the illusion and start recognizing the real thing when it shows up. 4, detach from your fears. You scared to walk away because you think you won't find better? Oh, you will. You scared to speak up because you don't want to lose him? If your honesty makes him leave, he was never yours to keep. Ladies, listen. When you detach from what holds you back, you attract what lifts you up. And the right man, he gonna love you more when he sees you don't need him to complete you. He wants you to be whole, confident, and unshakable because that's the kind of woman he can build with. So today, make a decision. Let go of the baggage, the fear, the desperation. Detach from everything keeping you small and watch how you start walking into the life and the love you truly deserve. Sure, here's an expanded version of Keynote 1, detach from needing validation in a powerful motivational speech format. Ladies, let me tell you something right now. If you're out here waiting for a man to tell you you're beautiful before you believe it, you already lost the game. You're already giving away your power. See, a woman who walks into a room knowing who she is, knowing her worth, knowing she's got something special, that's a woman who don't need nobody to confirm what she already knows. And let me tell you something about that kind of energy. It's magnetic. People feel it. A man feels it. He knows when you need his approval to feel good about yourself, and he knows when you already got it handled. And trust me, the second one is the one he respects. The problem is, too many of y'all been trained to believe you ain't enough unless somebody tells you you are. You waiting on a text, waiting on a compliment, waiting on some man to say, I see you, I appreciate you, just so you can feel worthy. But what happens when he don't text back? What happens when he don't stops noticing the little things? What happens when he don't compliment you like he used to? Baby, if your confidence is built on his words, then what happens when his words stop coming? That's why you got to stop living for a man's validation and start living in your own truth. You see, when you base your confidence on outside approval, you become a puppet. If he's loving on you, you happy. If he's distant, you insecure. If he compliments you, you feel like a queen. If he don't, you questioning everything about yourself. And that right there is dangerous. That's why some of y'all sitting in relationships that ain't serving you, because you done tied your worth to whether or not he chooses you. Baby, let me tell you, your worth don't come from no man. It don't come from a title. It don't come from how many likes you get on Instagram. Your worth was set the moment you were born. And when you finally understand that, when you finally get that deep in your spirit, you're going to start moving different. And let's talk about this attention thing. Some of y'all are so addicted to a man's attention that you will tolerate any kind of treatment just to keep it. He inconsistent, but at least he calls. He disrespectful, but at least he still checks in. He ain't all the way there for you, but at least he ain't left. That at least mentality will have you accepting crumbs when you should be dining at the table. Some of y'all ain't even asking for the full meal. You're just happy if he throw a little something your way. Let me tell you right now, a real woman, a woman who values herself, don't survive off crumbs. She expects the whole meal because she knows she brings the whole meal to the table. And another thing, when you need validation from a man, you start overperforming. You overextend. You go above and beyond for somebody who ain't even asked you to. You're trying so hard to prove your worth that you end up doing all the work in the relationship, and then you get mad when he don't reciprocate. Baby, he never had to, because you already doing everything. You cooking, cleaning, supporting, being his therapist, his cheerleader, his peace, his everything. But is he even being yours? See, when you need validation, you move out of desperation. You settle for potential instead of presence. You stay longer than you should, waiting on him to finally see your value. When the truth is, if you saw your own value, you wouldn't still be waiting. A confident woman, a woman who don't need validation, she moves different. She loves, but she don't lose herself in love. She gives, but she don't overgive. She supports, but she don't carry the whole relationship on her back. And a man, let me tell you about men, they can sense the difference. A man knows when you need him to make you feel good about yourself, and a man knows when you already feel good all on your own. And let me tell you which woman he respects more. It's the one who don't need him. It's the one who chooses him. See, needing and choosing are two different things. A woman who needs a man's validation will accept anything just to keep him happy. A woman who chooses a man knows she can walk away if he ain't acting right. And a man can feel that energy. He knows when a woman is confident in herself, and that's the woman he don't play games with. Y'all ever notice how a man will treat a woman different when he knows she ain't afraid to walk away? It's because he sees she's not desperate for his validation. And I know some of y'all scared to be that woman because you think it'll push him away. But let me tell you, the right man will never be pushed away by a confident woman. The wrong man might be. The weak man might be. The man who ain't ready might be. But the man who's truly for you, he gonna see your confidence as an asset, not a threat. And let's get one thing straight. Confidence ain't arrogance. It ain't about acting like you're too good for everybody. It's about knowing that even if nobody in the room acknowledges you, you still got it. Even if no man tells you you're beautiful today, you still know you're fine. Even if you don't text back, your day's still gonna be great. That's confidence. And that's what every woman needs to tap into. When you walk in confidence, when you know your worth without needing a man to confirm it, you start to attract differently. You stop drawing in men who just want to play. You stop entertaining men who breadcrumb you. You stop waiting on somebody to see your value and start living like you already know it. And that's when things shift. That's when your energy changes. That's when the right kind of man starts showing up. Because a real man is looking for a woman who already knows who she is. And let's be real, some of y'all have been so used to waiting on validation that the idea of giving it to yourself feels foreign. You don't even know how to hype yourself up without a man doing it first. But let me tell you, the moment you start speaking life into yourself, the moment you start looking in the mirror and saying, girl, you got this, you are worthy, you are enough, you don't need nobody to tell you, you already know, that's when your whole world will start to shift. When you detach from needing validation, you step into a whole new level of power. You start living, not just waiting to be noticed. You start moving with confidence, not just hoping somebody acknowledges you. And baby, that's when you stop being an option and start being the standard. Ladies, I need y'all to really hear me on this one. Some of you out here holding on to a man that's doing nothing but dragging you down. he's inconsistent, he's disrespectful, he don't communicate, and you still sitting there trying to figure out how to make it work. Let me tell you something right now. If a man wants to be there, he will be. If he wants to love you right, he will. You should never have to beg a man to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. See, the problem is some of y'all have gotten comfortable in dysfunction. You so used to the back and forth, the hot and cold, the constant wondering where you stand, that you done convince yourself this is just how relationships are. No, baby, this is how toxic relationships are. A real relationship, a healthy relationship, ain't supposed to feel like an emotional roller coaster. It ain't supposed to leave you exhausted. It ain't supposed to make you question your worth every other day. A good man, a man who truly loves you, is not going to put you in a position where you have to doubt him every second. But here's where a lot of y'all get stuck. You see his potential, right? You see what he could be, what he might become if he just grows up, if he just gets himself together, if he just stops playing games. But let me ask you something. How long you going to wait? How many nights you going to cry yourself to sleep hoping he wakes up one day and magically turns into the man you need? Baby, a man is who he chooses to be today, not who you hope he becomes tomorrow. And if a man is showing you right now that he ain't ready, that he can't love you right, that he don't respect you the way he should, then why are you still making excuses for him? Some of y'all got a man who disappears for days, then pops back up like nothing happened, and you let it slide. Some of y'all got a man who talks to you crazy, makes you feel small, makes you question yourself, and you still staying, hoping he'll change. Some of y'all got a man who ain't doing nothing for you, ain't leading, ain't protecting, ain't bringing no peace, and yet you still holding on like he's the prize. Baby, let me tell you something, you are the prize. And when you realize that, you stop tolerating anything less than what you deserve. But see, the reason a lot of y'all can't let go is because you're scared. You're scared to be alone. You're scared that if you walk away, you won't find better. You're scared that maybe this is the best you can do. But let me tell you something. Fear will have you stuck in a place you were never meant to stay. Fear will have you accepting half love, broken love, toxic love, because you think real love ain't out there for you. But let me tell you it is, and you ain't never gonna find it if you keep holding on to what's hurting you. A toxic relationship will drain you. It'll make you forget who you are. It'll have you looking in the mirror and not even recognizing yourself. Some of y'all used to be full of life, full of energy, full of joy, but after dealing with that man, you just tired. You walking around exhausted, stressed, worried all the time, trying to make something work that was never supposed to. You're trying to fix a man who don't even want to fix himself. And I get it, I really do. When you love somebody, it's hard to walk away. When you've invested time, when you've given your heart, when you've built something together, it's not easy to just let go. But let me ask you, how much longer are you going to keep sacrificing your peace? How much longer are you going to keep putting yourself last? How much longer are you going to keep settling for at least instead of more than enough? Some of y'all need to hear this today. Love is not supposed to hurt like this. Love is not supposed to feel like you constantly chasing, constantly proving, constantly begging. Love is supposed to feel like peace, like safety, like home. And if a man is making you feel anxious more than he makes you feel secure, if he's making you question yourself more than he's making you feel love, then baby, that's not love. That's attachment, that's fear, that's trauma. And let me say something else. Some of y'all ain't even in love with the man, you in love with the idea of him. You in love with the memories. You in love with the good times y'all had 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. But what about now? What about how he's treating you today? What about how you feel in this moment? Stop holding on to potential. Stop holding on to the past. Stop romanticizing a relationship that is actively breaking you. And don't get me started on the excuses. But I love him. Baby, love is not enough if respect is missing. Love is not enough if peace is missing. Love is not enough if he don't show up for you the way you show up for him. But we got history. So what? Time don't mean nothing if the relationship ain't healthy. But he's trying. Trying is not doing. Effort is not enough if the effort is inconsistent. You got to stop settling for half love, for almost love, for it's complicated love, and start demanding the kind of love that is clear, intentional, and reciprocated. And let's be real. Some of y'all know you need to leave, but you're waiting for him to do it first. You're waiting for him to hurt you one more time, to disrespect you one more time, to cheat on you one more time, just so you can have an excuse to finally walk away. Baby, you don't need no more signs. You already know. You feel it in your spirit. You feel it in your soul. You're just scared to take that step. But let me tell you, the moment you decide to choose yourself, the moment you decide you deserve better, that's when your whole life gonna change. And some of y'all need to hear this too. He don't have to be a bad man for him to be the wrong man for you. Just because he's not out here cheating, just because he's not out here putting his hands on you, don't mean he's the right one for you. If he can't meet you where you are, if he can't give you the love you need, if he can't be the partner you deserve, then he still ain't the one. And the longer you hold on to the wrong one, the longer you block yourself from the right one. You got to start asking yourself the hard questions. Am I truly happy in this relationship, or am I just comfortable? Am I staying because I love him or because I'm scared to be without him? Am I holding on because I see a future or because I don't want to start over? And if your answers keep leading you back to a place of pain, then baby, you already know what you need to do. At the end of the day, you have to love yourself enough to walk away from anything that is not serving you. You have to trust that what's ahead of you is better than what you're leaving behind. You have to believe that you deserve the kind of love that doesn't make you suffer first. And when you finally let go, when you finally detach from that toxic situation, when you finally say enough is enough, that's when you make room for the love that was truly meant for you. Here's your expanded speech on keynote. Detach from fear, keeping the energy, realness, and motivation strong. Fear will keep you stuck in places you were never meant to stay. Fear will have you holding on to people who were never meant to stay. Fear will have you making excuses for situations that are draining you, breaking you, and keeping you from stepping into the life you truly deserve. See, a lot of people think the opposite of fear is courage, but really the opposite of fear is faith. When you operate in fear, you cling to what's familiar, even when it's hurting you. When you operate in faith, you trust that even if you let go, something better is on the way. And that's what a lot of women struggle with. Not the leaving, not the letting go, but believing that something greater is ahead. Some of y'all are in relationships that ain't serving you, but you're too scared to walk away. You're afraid to be alone. You're afraid of starting over. You're afraid that if you let go of this one, you might not find another. But let me tell you something. What's meant for you will never require you to beg, to shrink, to tolerate less than you deserve. What's meant for you will never make you question your worth. Some of y'all are holding on to a man that don't even see you, don't even appreciate you, don't even love you the way you need, and yet you keep telling yourself, maybe if I try harder, maybe if I wait longer, maybe if I change myself, he'll finally see my value. Baby, if he ain't seen it by now, he ain't gonna see it. And if you truly knew your value, you wouldn't be waiting on him to validate it. Fear will have you settling for potential instead of reality. You see what he could be, what he might become, and you convince yourself that sticking around is worth it. But let's be real. How many more years you gonna give to potential? How many more times you gonna make excuses for a man who keeps showing you who he is right now? Some of y'all got this idea that if you just love him enough, if you just hold on a little longer, he gonna wake up one day and be the man you need. But love don't work like that. A man grows because he wants to. not because you beg him to. A man steps up because he's ready, not because you spent years waiting. And if you keep waiting on a man to change, you might just wake up one day and realize you wasted your best years on a man who never planned to change at all. Fear will also keep you from speaking up for yourself. Some of y'all got needs, got standards, got expectations, but you too afraid to voice them because you don't want to scare him away. You scared if you tell him what you really need, he might leave. You scared if you set boundaries, he might pull back. But let me ask you, what are you really afraid of? Losing a man who wasn't willing to meet your needs in the first place? Losing a relationship that only worked because you kept quiet? Baby, if your silence is the only thing keeping the relationship together, then you don't have a relationship. You have a performance. And the moment you stop performing, the moment you start speaking up, the moment you start demanding what you deserve, you're going to see real quick whether that man was ever truly for you. Fear will have you accepting less just because you don't want to start over. Some of y'all been with a man for years, and deep down you know he ain't the one, but the idea of walking away feels too overwhelming. You thinking about all the time you invested, all the memories you made, all the years you put in, and you telling yourself, I can't just throw all that away. But let me ask you, if the relationship is draining you, if it's making you feel small, if it's taking more from you than it's giving, then what exactly are you holding on to? History? Memories? A version of him that no longer exists? Baby, you ain't throwing away anything worth keeping. You letting go of what's been holding you back. Fear will also make you believe you can't do better. Some of y'all stay in bad relationships not because you happy, not because you in love, but because you don't believe you can find better. You're looking at your age, your situation, your past, and you telling yourself, maybe this is as good as it gets. But let me tell you something. When you believe you can't do better, you settle for worse. When you believe you don't deserve more, you accept less. And the sad part is, some of y'all ain't even in love no more. You're just afraid to be alone. But let me tell you, being alone is better than being in a relationship where you feel lonely. Being alone is better than sitting next to somebody every night and still feeling unseen. Being alone is better than waking up every morning with a man who don't value you, don't respect you, don't pour into you, and yet you keep making excuses for why you should stay. Fear will make you tolerate things you never thought you would. Some of y'all look at your situation and you don't even recognize yourself. You're thinking, how did I get here? How did I become this woman who ignores red flags, who accepts disrespect, who puts up with things I swore I never would? Let me tell you how. You got scared. Scared that walking away would hurt too much. Scared that you wouldn't be able to find love again. Scared that maybe this was the best you could do. But baby, fear is a liar. Fear will have you believing that settling is survival. Fear will have you thinking that staying in dysfunction is safer than taking a chance on something new. But let me tell you something. Every time you choose fear over faith, you block your own blessings. Every time you let fear make decisions for you, you keep yourself stuck. Fear will make you think you need to be perfect to be loved. Some of y'all out here breaking your back trying to prove you worthy, you overcompensating, you overgiving, you overextending yourself just to make sure he stays. But let me ask you, who told you love had to be earned like this? Who told you that you had to work this hard just to be chosen? Baby, the right man will choose you because he sees your value, not because you convinced him of it. The right man will love you in your fullness, not just when you make his life easier. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to beg. You don't have to perform. Love that requires you to exhaust yourself ain't love. It's labor. And if you got to break yourself just to keep it, then you don't need it. Fear will have you putting off your happiness. Some of y'all keep telling yourself, one day I'll leave. One day I'll choose myself. One day I'll stop settling. But when is one day? How much longer are you going to wait? How many more signs you need? How many more sleepless nights, unanswered texts, empty apologies you going to endure before you finally say, I deserve better? Because let me tell you something. The longer you stay in a place you don't belong, the harder it gets to leave. The longer you tolerate less, the more you start believing less is all you deserve. Fear will rob you of the life you were meant to have. Fear will steal your joy, your peace, your confidence, your self-worth. Fear will have you holding on to things that are already dead just because you're too scared to let go and trust that something better is coming. But let me tell you, when you finally let go of fear, when you finally detach from the idea that you have to suffer before you can be happy, when you finally say, I refuse to live like this any longer, that's when your real life begins.